Hey everybody, Kristen here. As you know, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. And today I'm going to share with you a recipe you've been requesting. We're going to make coq au vin and we're going to make it in our Instant Pot, which speeds up the process, intensifies the flavor, and the results are phenomenal. This is a recipe my husband has begged me to make again and again. It is outstanding. So let's get started. We're gonna hit saute on our Instant Pot, hit start if needed per your model. This recipe starts with a little bit of bacon. We're gonna add a little bit of olive oil and let that heat. And to the olive oil here, we're adding in 3 strips of bacon that's been diced. This is thick cut bacon. It just is going to add immense flavor, a smoky, rich base, and give this chicken stew so much flavor. We're gonna cook our bacon up here until it's nice and crispy and it's rendered out its fat, and that fat is gonna go a long way to flavoring this dish. Okay, our bacon is looking nice and crispy and brown, and so we wanna grab a plate with a paper towel just so that we can drain off the excess grease there. Use a slotted spoon and remove your bacon. While our bacon was cooking, I went ahead and seasoned up some chicken thighs. I have skin on, bone-in chicken thighs. You could use a combination of chicken thighs and chicken legs if you like. And you just wanna make sure that you season them up on both sides. You can use anywhere from 4 to 8 pieces of chicken for this recipe. If at this point your inner pot was dry, you would add a little bit more oil. I have plenty of bacon drippings in here, so we're good to go. So I'm gonna place my seasoned chicken in my inner pot in a single layer. If needed, you would saute up your chicken in batches so that you don't overcrowd the pan. We're gonna let that saute for about 3 to 4 minutes per side until it's nice and golden and the skin has gotten brown. Okay, now that our chicken is nice and brown, I'm gonna remove it to a plate here. We'll add this back to the inner pot in a little bit. Again, remember, you can make up to 8 pieces, but you'll want to sear only 4 pieces at a time so that there's enough room for it to get really nice and caramelized. To the drippings here, we're going to add in 1 shallot that's been finely minced and 1 large carrot that's been diced. I'm also adding in some cremini mushrooms that have been halved. You could certainly use white button mushrooms. I just like the flavor of cremini a little bit better. And I really like using a shallot in this recipe because it just is going to give a mild, subtle richness instead of an overpowering onion taste. And after all, this is a little bit more sophisticated dish. We also have some carrots in there for a little bit of sweetness. We're just gonna saute this up for just a couple minutes, until our shallot softens. Okay, that's looking good. So I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste and 4 cloves of minced garlic. And we're just gonna toast that for just 30 to 60 seconds, just so our nose smells it and it enhances its flavors but doesn't burn. Burnt garlic ruins a dish fast. Oh, but it smells so good in here. Shallots, garlic, bacon, can have that little bit of smokiness from the bacon. So good. Okay, that looks good. So now we're ready to add our wine, and wine is what makes this dish. After all, coq au vin means chicken in wine. So for the wine, you want to use a deep, bold red wine, like a Pinot Noir, a Burgundy, or a Merlot. But you want to make sure that your wine is suitable to drinking. Never use a wine labeled cooking wine. It's artificial, it has a lot of added sweetness to it, and it can ruin your dish really quick. You don't need your bottle of wine to be expensive. I purchased this one for under $10 at my local grocery store. We're gonna use half to make this stew, and then you can use the other half to enjoy in recipes throughout the week, like in a beef stew, or you can have it and enjoy a glass with your coq au vin, which is perfectly delicious as well. So also to the wine, I'm adding in 2 tablespoons of cognac. That is completely traditional and completely optional. So if you don't have cognac on hand, you could use a little bit of bourbon, just 2 tablespoons, but it's just gonna add a deep, sweet note to the overall dish. Again, you can omit it and it will still be delicious. And then we're just gonna let the alcohol reduce and simmer here on the saute function for about 3 to 5 minutes until it's reduced by almost half. That's gonna concentrate all the flavors and just make this dish so good. While the wine is reducing, make sure you scrape up any brown bits on the bottom of the inner pot to prevent a burn notice. Okay, once your wine has reduced, hit cancel to turn off the saute function. And now we finish this up pretty fast. So we're gonna add in 1 cup of low sodium beef stock there. For seasonings, we're adding in 2 bay leaves, a sprig of fresh thyme leaves there. If you didn't have fresh thyme, you could use a half a teaspoon of dried thyme leaves, not ground thyme. And then for additional depth of flavor and balance, I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of pure maple syrup. That is going to help develop rich flavors in the stew and balance out the acidity in the wine, and it's just really going to take the dish over the top. And bacon and maple, they pair perfectly together. Speaking of bacon, we're gonna stir in the crisped bacon there. And I'm also adding in a half a bag of frozen pearl onions here. These are optional, but they're traditional, and they do add a nice sweet burst of flavor. I'm also adding in a pinch of salt and pepper, just for flavor, build those flavors. And then we're gonna add our seared chicken back into the liquid. Again, remember, you can make this using anywhere from 4 to 8 pieces of chicken, chicken thighs, chicken legs, chicken quarters, whatever you like. And you're just gonna nestle that in the cooking liquid there. And then you also wanna add in any drippings that may have accumulated on your plate. That's a lot of flavor right there. All right, that's it. We're gonna pop our lid on our Instant Pot. Make sure your venting knob is pointed towards sealed. Now to set the cooking time, we're gonna cook for 15 minutes on high pressure. After the cook time has elapsed, you wanna let pressure release naturally for at least 15 minutes. That's gonna keep your chicken super, super tender, so don't be tempted to speed that process up. Then you can open up your Instant Pot. It smells so good in here. We're gonna thicken up this gravy because there's a lot of really good ingredients in there that we don't wanna go to waste. So I'm gonna remove my chicken to a serving platter. It is falling apart. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to dig in. We're gonna hit cancel to turn off the keep warm function and hit saute to thicken up our stew here. While this is coming to a bubble, we're gonna mix together a cornstarch slurry using 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. You could use arrowroot powder too if you were opposed to using cornstarch, with about 1/4 cup of water. We're just gonna whisk that together until the cornstarch has dissolved. Nobody wants lumps of cornstarch in their gravy or lumpy gravy. So make sure you dissolve the cornstarch first. And we're gonna add that right to our bubbling liquid and give that a whisk. I'm also finishing up with 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. That's optional, but it just adds a nice richness to the gravy and really takes this dish over the top. We're gonna let this cook and thicken for just a couple minutes, 3 to 4 minutes, just so that it will coat our chicken with a rich, luscious, glossy gravy. So good. Okay, that's looking good, so we're gonna hit cancel to turn off our saute function, and then we're gonna dish this up. Once your sauce has nice and thickened, you wanna serve it over mashed potatoes or buttered noodles, something to soak up the delicious gravy. And then I'm going in for a bite here. The chicken is so tender, and the gravy, it just smells so, so good in here. Wow. This dish is gonna make you look like a 5-star chef. It is so, so good. It is worthy of any holiday event. It's worthy to serve company. It's worthy of a date night in. You guys are gonna impress Julia Childs with this recipe. And for another recipe that will impress, be sure to catch my next recipe where I share with you how to make Instant Pot beef bourguignon. Until next time, happy cooking.